All right, I'd like to call to order the Town of East Troy Planning Commission for the month of March. I'd like the record to show that all the commissioners are present. One thing I'll announce, if anybody is here for the rezone on Miramar Road, they have pulled their rezone request. So if anybody's here for that, that is no longer on the agenda. First item on our, this is our informational meeting. So how we operate is in a split meeting format. This is the meeting where we'll get all the information from the applicant. We'll have them come up, present the information. The board will ask questions of the applicant. Then the applicant will sit down. The board will have a small discussion. We'll open it up to the audience. If anybody in the audience would like to speak in favor of the proposal, then if anybody would like to speak against the proposal, and if necessary, a short rebuttal from the applicant. Then what we do is we adjourn for 2 weeks. We come back in 2 weeks and make our decision. That being said, that's not by ordinance. So if anything on tonight's agenda we feel we can act on tonight, we will act on it tonight. First item on the agenda is to review and approve the Plan Commission minutes from March 20th. And I misspoke earlier. This is April's meeting, not March's meeting. So any issues with the minutes from March 20th meeting?
Looked okay here. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a conditional use amendment for Lake Beulah Yacht Club, N9220 East Shore Road, parcel PET 9000001A. Is there someone here from the yacht club who wants to make a presentation?
So, not much of a presentation, but we provided you guys with a plan. Essentially, what we're looking to do is just put a patio out in front of the club. And we've been working with the county for the last couple of months to come up with a plan that would be approvable with Darren and Kate down there. And so we think we're there. So this is our first step, so we can check a box, essentially. And we're really not looking for any changes to the way we operate, just to provide some hard space. I mean, we've got some tables and chairs out there now that sit in the grass. Just want some pavement under them.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Could you just state your name for the record?
Ron Jarecki.
Thank you. It's in the agenda.
Yes.
Any questions for the applicant from commissioners?
So the only work that's being done is basically this orange dotted line around.
The orange dotted line is actually the erosion control. It's the shaded area around the structure.
Okay.
It's kind of like sort of the gray shaded area.
Sure.
Outlined in pink. So it's about 15 feet off the building, which, when the club was built in 2000, that space was sort of left. We sort of set the club back, so that would be available for some future expansion. So here we are.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
So with regard to expanded hours for special events, as stated in the plan of operations, how many special events would you have?
So we're not asking for expanded hours. What that is just repeating the same verbiage that's on the existing operating conditional use. So that's, verbatim what's in the county's records in terms of what our hours are.
Okay.
So
And
we
then-
just repeated it. And so basically the same hours.
And then the nature of the use of the patio, is it just eating and drinking?
I mean, we don't really have a service. There's, we're not, I would say open where there's no service out there. It's just, for the members to have a place to sit that's not in the parking lot or in the lawn. So, all I can say is just to continue what we're normally doing, just to make a capital improvement.
What is the normal, is this just summer or are you looking at?
It's just summer. Yes.
Okay, so that would be from when to when?
I would say from May 1st to October 31st. I think the county is putting that in their, they just sent me an email, so they'll be putting that in their wording.
So this is a continuation of the hours that, that you already had.
It's exactly the same. I brought a copy of what our,
I was just gonna ask.
Yep.
If this is a continuation, how many special events did you have last year?
I don't know, maybe,
Because that's.
special event
that's-
might be something like a wedding or something if it gets rented out. There might have
understand.
only been one or two.
But that's the instance when you would request being open till
Correct.
midnight.
And then at that moment, we would be coming here for a permit for that special event. So permitted separately.
Okay.
Other questions for the applicant?
Have all of your members approved all of it, or whose idea was this to expand?
Well, we, I don't know if all of them have approved it, but so we've been talking, we've been building traction for it. This is something that we're trying to move towards. And as a board, we're sort of just trying to get all the pieces in place so we can move forward with membership, because after membership approves, then we have to discuss how we pay for it and that sort of thing. So right now it seems to be a consensus that this is what the membership wants. And, so we're acting on it.
How many members do you have? Might I ask that?
180 households.
180 households. There you go.
Okay.
Did you have something else, Ben?
Yeah, so it's the permeable pavers, that patio area. I see some blue, some purple, some parking stalls, gravel parking. Is
Right.
it all existing?
Okay, so yes, the parking stalls are on there because the county was counting parking stalls to make sure we have adequate parking stalls for the square footage. So we would actually add a few parking stalls in back near the existing shed. You can see there's a black line that runs where the existing gravel is right now, and it would be adding the last row of parking and a drive space so you can get in and out of the parking. That's just, adding more gravel spots, just to,
Six more?
it depends on how you count it. Yes, the actual space is 6 more, but because of the driving lane, we can reconfigure and we actually gain more than 6.
And then what about the clay tennis courts? That's all existing?
That's
No
all,
change
yeah,
there?
everything else is existing, correct. Yeah, the only thing that's changing is the patio.
So you mentioned like in that lower right here, the stalls there, all that's already gravel. You're just configuring it as it's laid out.
Can you see the black line that runs through?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the gravel runs up to now,
So you'll add gravel to accommodate those additional.
correct. Yep,
Okay.
yep. And that's, not because we were looking for it, the county just required it. And through working with them, just decided that was the space that works because that's back past 300 feet from the lake.
And
And
that gives
that's
you-
where it fits.
And that gives you the capacity that
It gives us
the
more than
150 to 175 people.
Yep. It gives us more than the capacity we need. So we just sort of filled in that space a little bit.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Just quick discussion amongst commissioners. When I first saw it, my concern was high water setback. They're beyond the high water setback. They're outside of the road right away. It's impervious surface. Those were my concerns, and all of them are. It's existing conditional use. I just know from Dockside, they have to have an updated conditional use to have outside dining, so. Any other discussion amongst commissioners? All right, I'd open it up to the audience. Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? Would anybody like to speak against? Oh, sorry, go ahead, John. Again, please state your name and address for the record.
John Stokes, North 88, 31 Stearns Bridge Road. I am in support of what the yacht club is applying for here. I have a few questions like, do they plan any additional phases down the road that complement what they're doing here. Is there any thought like on how much money they plan on spending on this project? I like to see all the businesses on the lake do good. Obviously, people that know me know that I'm pro-business on the lake here. And I'm supporting what the yacht club's trying to do here. I just want to make sure that if other business owners come down, they're afforded the same professional courtesy that you guys are going to afford these guys here. So as long as we're talking apples to apple and everything's fair, I think we should support them and let them put their patio in.
I guess all I'll say is phases. We don't see any other phases on this drawing, and if there is another phase, they'd have to come back to us.
Okay.
And I guess it's not really our concern how much money they're gonna spend on this. So, just for your two.
Well, I'm curious. It's none of my business what they're going to spend. I'm just wondering, do they have like additional phases where they want to do more? Do they plan on opening it up to the public possibly, or is it going to be strictly members only? It's just kind of weird things. We don't have a lot of spots left on the lake where you can come down, sit down, have a beer, look out, and look at the water. So that's all.
Understood. All right. Anybody else in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? Would anybody like to speak against the proposal? All right. Again, I've kind of said my piece on it. It seems pretty straightforward. They've got civil engineering. They've got it laid out well. I think it's something we can act on tonight unless anybody feels they have to go put their eyes on it or.
Do we have how will this interface with the rest of the neighborhood? Do we put like a 5 years to see and come back and review it, or is that something?
Well, they have to renew their conditional use. I'm not exactly sure how often that is. I apologize. But their existing conditional use, they're not going beyond those hours. They're not increasing capacity. They're not, all they're really asking us for is
But I'm talking
exterior
about,
seating.
you know, if there's an issue, like if we give them a blanket forever, you know, I'm thinking, do we have to come back and look at this maybe 5 years to see how it's interfacing with the neighborhood at that point? I don't know if administration would change or.
You know, I think the current operating conditional use sort of covers how we're using it. You know, so I think from our perspective, we're just turning some grass into some pavers.
Right. Yeah.
But the conditional use goes on, it doesn't terminate.
Right.
There's no date on it.
That's what I was concerned about. Okay.
I make a motion, we approve the conditional use amendment at N9220 East Shore Road, PET 900001A.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? I'll second. Dave, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. As I said, the next item on the agenda has been pulled off the agenda. And then any other business, I know we have some business, so maybe I'll ask for public comment first. And then anybody wants to leave can leave. Is there any other public comment for the board? All right, then other business amongst commissioners. Obviously, we've got our new application and it's been used.
No,
So, no?
only the top part.
Oh, okay, all right,
We added and subtracted it.
okay.
It's nice.
Ben, if you wanna, the floor is yours.
Just give me a moment.
Okay.
So,
Last 2 pages.
I'm at everything shuffled here. If I'm missing one, I'll use this. Okay, so Jen and I kind of went through some of those larger documents and this that I shared, I don't know, late last year, and this is kind of what we came up with. Just call your attention to the checklist, so zoning, conditional use, and variance. This is kind of, I just went through everything and chopped out things that seemed redundant, tried to simplify it a bit, and tried to boil it down to questions that we commonly ask for, or details where we typically look for. It makes, so I don't have much feedback or input beyond what's on the paper already. It's just looking for feedback from the.
Honestly, I think this is perfect, especially just specifically in the variance checklist. Unique property limitations, unnecessary hardship, no harm to public interest, and that's from County Board of Adjustment. So that's that's perfect. That's the one thing, obviously there's capital letters, so it jumped out at me. But that especially, we always refer back like, oh, what are the three things? At least now it's known before they even come here. So I think this is perfect.
I did add a little, and that came really straight out of the template. I did
Right.
add some verbiage around, I think in here, let's see, impervious surface and things. Because we tend to, that came up today, with the conditional use, especially with the shoreland type issues.
Of course. Anybody else have any comments or feedback?
I think it's pretty complete from my perspective.
It's way more helpful than the previous application.
For the public. I think it's
Right,
great for the
correct,
public.
correct.
It just kind of helps frame the
This is what you
application
need,
a little
yep.
bit,
Is there any requirement that they must provide this data? I mean,
That's not how it's really worded.
right,
It's really, and I don't know if we would want to require it. If someone didn't complete that or didn't offer that, I think we can always ask at the meeting. It just helps, I think, move things along.
The most interesting one is public health. Will it have an adverse effect on public health? I don't know how that would, that's,
Is that where did you see that?
second one down. Do your proposal have an adverse effect on public health? If so, please
This is the one
explain.
we're talking about here.
Well, this one's here. Okay. All right. I was looking at this sheet here.
Right.
Might be the
That
current.
was an edit. Yeah.
So I think it's
Look it up a little bit.
yeah, no harm to public interest is the.
And I'm of the opinion that we don't necessarily need to act on this. I mean, this is our new application.
Yeah,
It's more
is that
Clerical.
it?
I think so. I mean, unless anybody here stands up and stomps their feet and says, no, I hate this application form.
Yeah, I didn't.
I think we implement it.
I didn't know if we did need to act on it, or if the board needs to act on it, or if we just.
I don't think so. I guess I'm not 100% on that, but it's more clerical amongst us. It's not like we're changing an ordinance, we're changing a law, even changing a procedure per se. It's more of a helpful piece of information that we're handing to the public.
and we're not applying it as a required.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just guidelines, information.
This is what we need to make our decision.
I don't believe that the last form was approved.
Right.
Because I think it was changed right before I started.
Again, it's not that we're changing an ordinance or anything like that. It's like, if you want our approval,
It's really-
this is really
right,
gonna
it's
help
just
you.
A set of additional instructions.
Yeah, right. So,
Okay.
Do we have to move to approve it?
no.
Just to start.
You did have highlighted the one statement about A1 rezones.
Well, yeah, so I didn't really know how to word that, but those get pretty tricky, right? We so, a lot of times we have a lot of discussion around that, and there's specific rules around those A1 rezones. I didn't know if we wanted to think, consider adding some detail in there around that. The county has real particular rules.
And I
there.
guess I'd rather not. I mean, if it's not really up to us to do their research for them.
Yeah.
If they want to do something to A1, they can look up the zoning code and then decide. Obviously, we're sensitive to A1, but I don't know that we have to put that in our application that A1's very sensitive to the board or anything like that. So,
I know there's there's the county zoning allows for certain rules around carve outs for like a single family homestead, that sort of thing.
right.
I suppose, yeah, to that point,
I don't
it
think we
would
should
get pretty
specific-
wordy. if-
Yeah, right. Reference Warwick County zoning and shoreline ordinances.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on the matter?
No.
Any other business amongst commissioners? I'd take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
there.